Madden holiday is here and we will play all night. Calling sick and sound sincere, in tackles will delight. The fridge is packed with drink and meat, the taste of victory sure is sweet.
Okay, so obviously this is the draft recap and review. We're going to be doing this round by round. I'll probably be recording right after the conclusion of each, for lack of a better term, section or day of the draft. The first day is just round 1, then rounds 2 and 3 the next day, and then the rest are on day 3. Now, I am recording this little bit here about, give or take, 3 hours before the draft. That's a little bit more than that, but, you're really arguing semantics at that point. Anyway, so far, none of the major rumored trades have happened yet. Right now, it looks like neither the Giants or the Browns are going to trade into the first round, so they're going to be sticking with their second round picks. And despite all the reports you've been seeing, the Steelers have yet to trade George Pickens, even though I believe he has formally requested a trade. I'm not saying they won't happen, but if they do, it's probably going to be during the draft. So, again, you'll see the report if anything happens. Now, for these first 2 days, we probably are going to be going through more like pick by pick than we are going to be anything else. When we get to day 3, it's going to be more kind of scattershot or just noteworthy picks when they come up because, we sometimes they just flash those picks right by on the third day. I mean, they go by really quickly. They've tried to drum up some interests. They've done, guest pickers, celebrity pickers, live picks from the draft hubs of the teams involved, or sometimes they get animals to do goofy picks or something. Sometimes that happens, but, basically other than that, the picks just kind of go right by, and all the announcers really seem to talk about is just the first round over and over again. Oh, and in case you were wondering if any of the unedited game footage is ever going to be uploaded, maybe. If I do, it'll probably have to go exclusive to Patreon. There's just too many uses of Sandstorm by Daruda playing in the background. It will get copyright claimed. I've said that before in some other videos that I've tried to do what are called broadcast versions where I edit in commercials to make it look like a more real broadcast. Yeah, but again, because Sandstorm by Daruda plays, it gets copyright claimed. So again, if I do, it might be exclusive to Patreon. I don't know if it'll be behind a paywall. I'll try to decide if I want to or not. So, I guess there's one more thing. Yes, I have seen the trailer for the College Football 26, Madden-2025 Super Choco Fudgy Combo Pack thing. I have yet to pre-order it. I'm waiting for a couple other things to shake out, but hopefully I'll be able to do that, and that way we'll have both versions current, and we won't be relying on old Madden footage again. Okay, so we'll take a little break here. We'll come back and we'll start recapping round 1. It will obviously be very late at night, so the audio might sound a little different. I'll have to speak a little bit quieter. All right, see you then.
McDonald's Happy Meal, guys.
Yup, hamburger,
Soft drink and fries.
all regular size. Which way to the Old West, partner?
Right here.
You sure did that fast, Ronald.
Out here, partners, you have to be quick on the draw.
I choose goodness.
With every McDonald's Crayola Happy Meal you buy, you get a McDonald Land Shape Maker stencil, plus 4 Crayola crayons or a Crayola marker.
Where should we put this one?
McDonald's Crayola Happy Meal drawing sets. You can collect all 4.
You can win Thundercats toys by playing the Bubble Yum Bubblegum, Lifesavers Roll Candy, Bonkers Chewy Candy Instant Win game.
Bonnie knows. Chitara. Mumra.
To play, look for special displays in stores where you might find U1 wrappers inside packs of Lifesavers, Bubble Yum, and Bonkers. Or write Thundercats, P.O. Box 1125, Ridgely, Maryland, for free wrappers. You can win one of over 200,000 prizes.
Thundercats, ho!
Tonight, when the movie ended, his quest began.
I left her once, about 15 years ago.
Now, Starman's reunited with the woman he loved.
We have orders to open fire.
Stay with me.
Starman, tonight at 8, 7 Central.
the undisputed middleweight champion of the world.
I've been looking forward to this fight for years.
A two-time world champion, now the challenger.
This is not a career for me. This is one fight. This is a dream that has become a reality. I am the best fighter in the world. The reason I will win is because you don't think I can.
The Super Fight. See it April 6th at a closed-circuit location near you.
Okay, so round one of the NFL draft is in the books, and I guess it's more surprising for what didn't happen than what did. We did not get the high amount of trades that a lot of the experts were saying were going to happen. And in fact, we only had 4 trades, most of which were towards the end of the round. That being said, there was one big trade, which we'll get to. Obviously, first and foremost, the number 1 overall pick was Cam Ward to the Tennessee Titans. It was then that we had the first big trade. Well, yeah, the only big trade, really. The Cleveland Browns and Jacksonville Jaguars switched picks. The Jaguars like to select Travis Hunter. After that, the New York Giants selected Abdul Carter. New England selected Will Campbell, the offensive tackle out of Missouri. We then got to the Browns pick, and they selected Mason Graham, a defensive tackle from the University of Michigan. So, we'll talk about that pick right now, I guess. I don't know if it was necessarily that the Browns were high on Graham, or if maybe they thought Abdul Carter would follow them. But it definitely seemed like they were not interested in getting Travis Hunter. Or maybe the Jags just made an offer that the Browns couldn't refuse. I don't know. I think this is actually a good pick for the Jaguars. Obviously, Hunter can play defense. I think he's going to primarily be on defense, but he could come in and supplement Brian Thomas Jr. on offense and add some depth to the passing game if need be. After that, the Raiders selected Ashton Jeanty with the 6th pick, much like again most everyone was saying was going to happen. The New York Jets took offensive lineman Armand Membu. The Carolina Panthers took Tetiora McMillan from Arizona, a wide receiver. The New Orleans Saints were up next. They did not draft Shedeur Sanders. They instead went with offensive lineman Kelvin Banks Jr. So yes, they opted to bolster up their offensive line and try to help, I guess, Derek Carr, because they don't really have too much else at quarterback at this moment. After that, the Chicago Bears selected tight end Colston Loveland from Michigan. The San Francisco 49ers selected defensive tackle Mikael Williams. And then the Dallas Cowboys came up, and they did not really throw too many people for a curve. They took the very safe pick of Tyler Booker, a guard from the University of Alabama. The Miami Dolphins came in. They selected Kenneth Grant. The Indianapolis Colts selected tight end Tyler Warren from Penn State. The Atlanta Falcons went with Jalen Walker. The Arizona Cardinals had Walter Nolan. Cincinnati Bengals selected Shamar Stewart, a defensive end from Texas A&M. North Dakota State's very own Gray Zabel went to the Seattle Seahawks at 18. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers selected Emeka Egbuka, a wide receiver from Ohio State, at 19. The Denver Broncos had a surprise pick with Jediah Barron, defensive back from Texas. No one had that happening. Most people had them selecting either tight end or running back, so they went defense, which was kind of a surprise. And it said here we get to the Pittsburgh Steelers selection, and they obviously went with defensive tackle Derek Harmon from Oregon. Yeah, the crowd was not pleased. The Los Angeles Chargers selected running back Omarion Hampton from North Carolina. The Green Bay Packers selected Matthew Golden, the wide receiver from Texas. The Minnesota Vikings selected offensive lineman Donovan Jackson. I believe Jackson's from Ohio State there. I may be wrong on that. And it's then that we had our next trade, which was the Houston Texans trading back into the second round with the New York Giants, moving back into the first round to select quarterback Jackson Dart. So again, no Shedeur Sanders. And I know that the Rams were very high on Dart as well, so they traded out with the Atlanta Falcons, who selected edge rusher James Pierce Jr. After that, we had the Baltimore Ravens select safety Malachi Starks. The Detroit Lions selected defensive tackle Tyleek Williams. The Washington Commanders selected offensive tackle Josh Connerly Jr. The Buffalo Bills selected Maxwell Hairston, the defensive back from Kentucky. And then we had our last trade of the round as the Eagles and Chiefs swapped places. The Eagles selected Jahad Campbell, pass rusher from Alabama. And the Kansas City Chiefs selected Josh Simmons, the offensive tackle from Ohio State. So yeah, that was the first round of the 2025 NFL Draft. And again, not a lot of surprises. I guess the big surprise was that there weren't as many surprises as a lot of people thought there were going to be. Like I said, there were a lot of calls that were going to be a lot of trades. A team was going to trade up into the top 10. That didn't really happen. The only trade that took place involving the top 10 involved two teams that were there already. There were rumors that the Broncos were trying to trade up at some point. There was, again, the Chiefs didn't trade up at all. You think, I don't know. I hesitate to say the league colluded, but I wonder if a lot of the teams were operating on the idea of, no, we're not going to let the Chiefs arm themselves and get a better prospect, and we're basically going to force them to have to take, I hesitate to say the lowest ranked offensive lineman, and that doesn't mean Simmons is going to be a bad lineman by any stretch of the imagination. It's just, again, the idea of when you're picking at the end of the draft, you're not exactly getting the hot picks right off the bat. So, yeah, it's just that kind of idea. And, of course, there's the big story, which is, of course, that Shedeur Sanders fell all the way out of the first round. There were a lot of reports going into today that was going to happen, and that is, well, pretty much exactly what happened. Again, apparently, Shedeur was just a terrible interview. There's a very fine line between confidence and arrogance, and I guess he doesn't quite understand where that is. Right now, the Browns have 2 picks in the first 4 slots, the second round, but they're already pretty high on Tyler Shuck, so I don't think they're going to be selecting Shedeur. Right now, it looks like he's probably going to fall to the Raiders, who have the, I believe, 5th or 6th pick in the second round. So, yeah, looks like Top Frog might get his way. He might get both Asher Genty and Shedeur Sanders. It's been thought that maybe the Raiders were actually the proper fit for him. Again, this is going to be a run-first team, so it could be, like I said, a very appropriate spot for him to land. But I guess we'll see all of that in the next segment. So we'll take a little break, and obviously, we'll be back then with round 2.
My kitty cat craves loving. My kitty cat craves fun. Now when he craves the great taste of crave, he has 3 choices, not one.
Crave Cat Food introduces new seafood recipe with tuna, shrimp, and salmon proteins. And new poultry recipe with chicken, turkey, and giblet proteins. Like original Crave, they're made with real protein-rich foods, not flavors. So your cat can have his crave and variety, too.
A crave for every craving. Get all the love he's saving, 'cause your kitty cat craves crave.
Times have changed. When I was a child, the world was simpler and safer. Drugs weren't a problem. But today, drugs are everywhere, and that scares me. It worries Senator Al D'Amato, too. His program to cut off aid to drug-producing countries and to jail drug dealers is essential. Thanks to Senator D'Amato, drug pushers, especially those who sell crack to children near our schools, will receive stiff mandatory sentences. I'm supporting Senator D'Amato because I know he cares about our children's future.
Tuesday, Angela's up in arms when Tony forces her to take a vacation.
Are you having fun yet?
Yes, I'm having fun. I'm having the time of my life.
Who's the Boss goes south of the border for its season premiere. Then, the show TV Guide called their favorite new comedy.
I sent him candy and I sent him flowers.
An outlandish, slapsticky, thoroughly silly show.
Go ahead. Make me laugh.
Sledgehammer, after the season premiere of Who's the Boss, Tuesday.
Okay, so day 2 of the NFL draft just happened, and it has really hit the fan as far as one certain player is concerned, which I guess we'll wind up getting to pretty soon here. But first, let's talk a little bit about round 2 of the draft. The Cleveland Browns had the first pick of the round, and they selected Carson Schweizinger, defensive end or linebacker from UCLA. He's a pass rush specialist. After that, the Houston Texans selected Jayden Higgins. We then had a trade between Tennessee and Seattle. They switched places in the second and third rounds for some of their picks. Although there were a lot of trades in the third round, so we'll get to that once. So it's going to be a lot of bouncing around as to who picked where there. But the Seahawks selected Nida Emenwari. Apologies again. You're going to hear me butcher a lot of these names. The Browns then had their second pick of the second round, and they took Keyshawn Judkins, the running back out of Ohio State. Okay, after this, the Raiders were up on the clock. However, they traded with the Miami Dolphins. Again, this extended into the third round, so we'll wind up covering that a little bit. But the Dolphins wound up selecting Jonah, again, I'm winging this pronunciation, Savinieva. Sorry. Again, another lineman here. The New England Patriots were up next, and they took the other top-ranked running back out of Ohio State, Travion Henderson. The Chicago Bears were up next, and they took wide receiver from Missouri, Luther Burton. We then finally had a quarterback go as the New Orleans Saints took Tyler Shuck. There was another trade, this between the Bills and the Bears, with the Bears getting the 2 Buffalo picks in the second round. The Bills also got, I believe, 1 Chicago Bears pick in the third round. I think that's it, though. But the Bills traded up and got T.J. Sanders, a defensive tackle from the University of South Carolina. After that, it was the Jets who got Mason Taylor, the tight end out of LSU. The 49ers were up next. They got Alfred Collins, another defensive tackle. I believe also from South Carolina. I may be wrong on that. Maybe it's Georgia. After that, it was the Dallas Cowboys who got edge rusher Donovan Ezebuika from Boston College. Again, apologies if I mispronounced that. After that, we had the LA Rams taking Terrence Ferguson. The Arizona Cardinals took cornerback Will Johnson. Okay, so here is where it looked like the Raiders were going to be picking again. However, they made another trade, this time with the Houston Texans. And I believe that also extended into the third round. I can't quite remember. Again, a lot happened here. But the Texans selected Ariante Ursi, a offensive tackle from the University of Minnesota. After that, it was the Cincinnati Bengals who selected Demetrius Knight. The Seattle Seahawks selected again, this time Elijah Arroyo, tight end. The next pick was supposed to belong to the Denver Broncos, but they traded it to the Carolina Panthers, who drafted edge rusher Nick Scorton. We are now at the Tennessee Titans pick that they got from the Seattle Seahawks, and they selected Olufemi Odagio. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers were up next, and they selected cornerback Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame. After that, it was the Green Bay Packers who selected offensive lineman Anthony Belton. The Los Angeles Chargers were up next, and they selected wide receiver Trey Harris out of Ole Miss. The Bears would then utilize the first pick they got from Buffalo to draft offensive lineman Ozzie Trapillo. The Denver Broncos were supposed to pick again, however, they traded the pick that they had acquired from the Carolina Panthers to the Detroit Lions, who would select offensive guard Tate Ratledge from Georgia. It's here that the Las Vegas Raiders utilized the pick they acquired from the Houston Texans to draft Jack Beck, a wide receiver from TCU. The Baltimore Ravens were up next, and they selected edge rusher Mike Green from Marshall University. Green was expected to go a lot higher, however, he had some accusations against them that caused him to fall to this point in the draft. It's here that the Denver Broncos finally would make their draft selection, running back R.J. Harvey from Central Florida. After that, it would be the Washington Commanders who took cornerback Trey Amos from Georgia. The Bears were up next, and they took Shamar Turner, a defensive tackle from Texas A&M, and this was the second pick that they had acquired from the Buffalo Bills. No trades to round out the round here, as the Kansas City Chiefs took Texas defensive tackle Omar Norman Lott, and the Philadelphia Eagles took safety Andrew Makuba. And yes, you may have noticed that there were a lot of names missing there, one in particular. In fact, there were no quarterbacks taken after Tyler Shuck. So yes, that was kind of a big deal that was happening, and a certain individual's free fall had really only just begun at this point. Also, I'm sorry for the kind of disjointed nature this one's had. My handwriting just is not great sometimes, and I had to bounce back and forth to the NFL.com website to get some of these points in, so I could at least try to read some of these names the right way. Anyway, we have yet to really talk about everything because I think we need to cover the next round, so we'll take a little break and then we'll come back with round 3.
We need something to get us going.
I've got some milk.
And I've got a great idea. This'll give me enough time to mix them quick, thick, rich, and chocolatey. Quick really scores with me.
Nestle Quick, the taste that gets you going. And you can try Quick on a stick, the great chocolatey taste of Nestle Quick in an ice cream bar.
In the laboratory of Dr. Frankenstein, something incredible was created. The great taste of pure milk chocolate and delicious peanut butter. Unfortunately, no one would listen. And so the world would have to wait for the two great tastes that taste great together in Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
And now for some exciting news about Lucky Charms. Thanks to you kids, Lucky and the Whale are off the rainbow, and the cereal is back to normal with pink hearts, orange stars, yellow moons, green clovers, blue diamonds, and purple horseshoes. Part of this complete breakfast. Frosted Lucky Charms.
Hey, that's my line.
Wow, lifesavers candy. I like the flavor. I like the hum.
Now, in specially marked boxes of Lucky Charms is a 5-flavor roll of Lifesavers, free. It's a whole lot of fun. Lifesavers, free in Lucky Charms.
Okay, so the New York Giants opened up round 3 by taking Darius Alexander, a defensive tackle from Toledo. After that, the Kansas City Chiefs selected next, and they selected Ashton Gillott, an edge rusher from Louisville. After that, the Cleveland Browns were up next, and they selected tight end Harold Fannin Jr. from Bowling Green. The Raiders were up next, and they selected cornerback Darian Porter from Iowa State. The New England Patriots were up after that, and they selected wide receiver Kyle Williams from Washington State. It was here that the Detroit Lions then traded up with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they selected wide receiver Isaac Tesla from Arkansas. Yeah, that name hasn't gotten problematic recently, has it? The New Orleans Saints were up next, and they took Texas defensive tackle Vernon Broughton. After that, the Bills were up after... Okay, it's here where the Bills were utilizing a pick they got from the Chicago Bears to select edge rusher Landon Jackson from Arkansas. After that, it was the New York Jets who selected Azare Thomas from Florida State, a defensive back. The Denver Broncos were up after that. It was part of their trade with the Carolina Panthers, and they selected Pat Bryant, a wide receiver from Illinois. The 49ers are up next, and they took Oklahoma State linebacker Nick Martin. After that, it was the Dallas Cowboys again, and they took cornerback Siobhan Revel Jr. from East Carolina. Here, the New England Patriots were supposed to select next. However, they traded with the Carolina Panthers, who in turn selected edge rusher Princely Unamanamelen. Apologies again if I mispronounced that. After that, it was the Arizona Cardinals, who took Oregon edge rusher Jordan Burch. The Houston Texans were up after that, and they took Iowa State wide receiver Jalen Noel. This was part of a multi-part trade here involving Miami, Philadelphia, and Washington previously. After that, it was the Indianapolis Colts who took cornerback Justin Wally from Minnesota. Then it was the Cincinnati Bengals who took guard Dylan Fairchild from Georgia. It's here where the Tennessee Titans utilized their draft pick that they had acquired earlier from the Seattle Seahawks to take safety Kevin Winston Jr. from Penn State. After that, it was the Pittsburgh Steelers, who were expected to make a very highly pronounced draft pick, and I guess they did as they selected Caleb Johnson, the running back out of Iowa. After that, it was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who selected cornerback Jacob Parrish from Kansas State. The New England Patriots were supposed to draft next, however, they made a trade with the Kansas City Chiefs, who selected cornerback Noel Williams from Cal. After that, the Los Angeles Chargers selected Jamari Caldwell from Oregon, a defensive tackle. Then it was the Green Bay Packers' turn to draft, and they selected Savion Williams, a wide receiver from Texas Christian. Up next was the Jacksonville Jaguars, who traded with the Minnesota Vikings in order to select Caleb Ranshaw, a defensive back from Tulane. The Jaguars then had the next pick, which they selected Wyatt Malum, a guard from West Virginia. They had made a trade for Houston with that. The Rams were up next, and they selected edge rusher Josiah Stewart. Baltimore Ravens were up after that, and they took Emory Jones Jr., a offensive tackle from LSU. We finally had another quarterback go, as the Seattle Seahawks made a trade involving Detroit, the New York Jets, and the Las Vegas Raiders to select Jalen Milroe, the quarterback from Alabama. After that, it was the New Orleans Saints selecting Virginia safety Jonas Sanker after a trade with Washington. The Cleveland Browns were up next, and they took the next quarterback, Dylan Gabriel from Oregon. The New England Patriots then finally got to make another draft pick in the form of Jared Wilson, a center from Georgia. The Atlanta Falcons then made a trade with the Philadelphia Eagles to select Xavier Watts, a safety from Notre Dame. The Houston Texans and Minnesota Vikings then swapped compensatory picks in order for the Texans to select Jalen Smith, a cornerback from USC. We then had a Miami and Las Vegas compensatory pick swap where the Raiders selected Caleb Rogers, a guard from Texas Tech. The Raiders actually then had another pick as they swapped with the Houston Texans to get Charles Grant, an offensive tackle from William & Mary. It's then that the San Francisco 49ers made a selection of Upton Stout, a cornerback from Western Kentucky. We had another trade as the Denver Broncos re-entered the round in order to draft edge rusher Savion Jones from LSU. They traded with Philadelphia for that. And then we run it off with the Minnesota Vikings making the final pick of the round, Ty Felton, the wide receiver out of Maryland. So, you probably noticed that there was a pretty big name missing in all of that, and that was, of course, Shedeur Sanders, who was not picked at all in either the second or third rounds, which means now, if he gets drafted, it's going to be on day 3. And right now, I mean, you have to even fathom the idea that he might not get drafted at all. Added to all of that, he was apparently streaming his draft party on Twitch, at which point someone utilized this to prank call him pretending to be a team and then threw him off. Exactly. It just, holy crap. I mean, you know, I'm not the biggest Shedeur Sanders fan, but you don't do crap like that. That's just crass and uncalled for. Just wrong, and again, you're taking what is already now a horrible situation, a completely unfathomable situation, as you know, people are constantly pointing out, you know, we're not in the boardroom, we're not in where they talk about their draft, but something happened here. This is not just, we didn't want this guy, because something had to happen to make them not want him, because every expert said this guy was going to be a top flight, a quarterback. He was going to be a top pick in the draft, and now here he is. He might not even make it, he might not even get picked till round 7, if he gets picked at all. Whether that's the 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th round, you know, you even have to fathom the guess. Again, teams that people say need quarterbacks, like the Raiders, the Steelers, the Jets even, are just not interested. So yeah, you have to maybe start hypothesizing that he is not going to get drafted at all. So I guess we'll have to come back in the next part where we cover day 3 of the draft. That's rounds 4 through 7 to see what happens. So maybe there'll be some news or maybe not. Who knows?
How to throw a Pizza Hut pizza party. It starts with a hot pizza from Pizza Hut. Then you can invite your friends over, turn on some neat music, and have fun. Pizza Hut has Flintstone kiss glasses. They're 49 cents each with any pizza at the regular price. You can collect one a week. 4 in all. Barney, Betty, Wilma, and Freddie.
At participating Pizza Hut restaurants while supplies last. Prices may vary.
It's back exclusively in movie theaters. Disney's most cataclysmic comedy ever, The Aristocats. It's adventure. It's excitement. Surge! It's fun and surprises.
This is outrageous. This is crazy.
And it's back, only on the big screen. Walt Disney's The Aristocats.
Meow.
Rated G. Starts Friday at a theater near you. Check your local newspaper.
I'm Captain O.G. Readmore. My motto's tried and true. Read a book today, I bet you'll say O.G. I'll read more too.
On the Disney Sunday Movie,
They switch places.
it's the original Double Trouble. Haley Mills and Haley Mills in The Parent Trap Sunday.
Okay, so as we enter the final day of the draft here, we're going to be doing things a little bit different. First and foremost, we're not going to be going through every pick. It's just kind of to save some time here. We're going to go through what I felt were the more relevant picks that were available. And again, this is also being done to save a little bit of time because we're covering 4 rounds here. Also, we're going to be breaking this up into two-round segments. So there'll basically be a break right after round 5. So we're going to go round 4, round 5, then round 6, round 7. Okay? I think we got everything squared away here. Okay, to start off the 4th round, we had the Tennessee Titans selecting again, and they decided to take Chimere DK, a wide receiver from Florida. It's here we had the Jacksonville Jaguars utilize their trade earlier with the Cleveland Browns as they got another spot here, and they selected Bashan Tootin, the running back from Virginia Tech. The New York Giants got the next kind of major name to be announced here as they selected Cam Skattebo, the running back from Arizona State, with the 3rd pick. A little bit later after that, we had the Las Vegas Raiders selecting Dante Thornton Jr., a wide receiver from Tennessee. The Chicago Bears and Buffalo Bills then made another trade, with the Bills moving up to taking Dion Walker, a defensive tackle from Kentucky. The New York Jets were up and they selected Avian Smith, a wide receiver from the University of Georgia. The Eagles were up after that and they got Ty Robinson, a defensive tackle from Nebraska. A few picks after that, we had the Arizona Cardinals selecting Cody Simon, a linebacker from Ohio State. Shortly after that, the Atlanta Falcons took Billy Bowman, a safety from Oklahoma. At another point in the draft, Miami and Houston had another trade, or maybe this was actually from the trade they had last night. I couldn't remember. Unfortunately, it's been a couple hours since I've had to cover this. And I believe it was Miami took Woody Marks, running back from Southern California. Correction, it was Houston that took Marks. My mistake there. The Colts and Rams also swapped picks, allowing the Rams to select Jarquez Hunter, the running back from Auburn. The Pittsburgh Steelers were up a little bit later, and they selected Jack Sawyer, the pass-rushing linebacker from Ohio State, one of 14 Ohio State players taken overall in this draft. So, obviously, if you've got designs on the pros, you might want to think about becoming a Buckeye. The Green Bay Packers then also went edge rusher, taking Beryl Sorrell from Texas. The Jets and Eagles then swapped picks, allowing the Jets to take Malachi Moore, the safety from Alabama. The other result of the Bears-Bills trade was that Ruben Hippolyte, a linebacker from Maryland, was drafted by the Bears. The Titans pulled off another trade, this time with Baltimore, going out of the 4th round in order for the Titans to select wide receiver Alec Iomanor from Stanford. The Seahawks also then traded out of the 4th round with the Patriots, who then selected tackle Josiah Farmer from Florida State. I know some of these are out of order, but again, due to the amount of trades, I kind of had to bounce through them a lot in order to keep track of everything. And it's unfortunately going to continue in the 5th round, so we'll move right on to that right now. The Vikings actually managed to kick off the 5th round by selecting Georgia defensive lineman Tyrion Ingram Dawkins. After that, the Carolina Panthers selected defensive tackle Cam Jackson from Florida. The result of the Titans-Ravens trade, which was Baltimore selecting Carson Vincent, a defensive tackle from Alabama A&M. Now, the 4th pick of the 5th round was supposed to be the Vikings' 2nd pick of the round. However, they made several trades, including completely trading out of the round. The first trade was with Seattle, who selected Notre Dame defensive tackle Riley Mills. The Vikings would get backup quarterback Sam Howell, and then the Vikings would later make another trade with the Rams to completely exit the round. This resulted in the Vikings getting back-to-back picks in the 6th round. I am all for the Vikings getting draft capital here. It's just that it got somewhat aggravating that it was right when they were about to make the pick when suddenly they traded, and I was expecting a pick. Catch my drift? The Miami Dolphins would select Maryland defensive tackle Jordan Phillips, and then we got the big thing that happened in day 3 of the draft, as the Cleveland Browns made a trade with the New England Patriots in order to end our national nightmare and finally select Shedeur Sanders from Colorado. In addition to the lingering questions as to how exactly all of this happened, where a guy who everyone said at one point was going to be the number 1 overall pick somehow falls all the way to the 5th round, is further complicated by the additional questions of why did the Browns then draft Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round when they maybe could have just drafted Shedeur Sanders at this point. There was some guy on CBS who seemed to think this was because they were trying to play the Steelers, but I have no idea. And trust me, no matter what type of career Shedeur Sanders has, I think this is going to overshadow it completely. I mean, I think the people are going to be talking about this for a while, like, how could there be just this type of disconnect? It still baffles the mind, really. I mean, he must have just royally cheesed off like a highly respected executive in the NFL community. I mean, it's possible that, when his father earlier said, if I don't like the team that's taking him, we're going to pull an Eli, that probably, I don't want to say scared teams off, but that was probably also a bit of a warning sign, but I don't think that was that much of a problem. I mean, if we found a team that it wanted, yeah, exactly. It seemed like most of the teams everyone thought he was going to, they were okay with. So, yeah, I don't think it was just that. I think he must have done something disrespectful to someone, and they're just like, you know what, no, it's not worth it at this point. Okay, we'll get back to the draft now. The Bears and Rams swapped picks, enabling the Rams to take defensive tackle Ty Hamilton from Ohio State. The Bears would wind up taking cornerback Zay Frazier from Texas. The Green Bay Packers would draft linebacker Colin Oliver from Oklahoma State. And then the trade that the Rams made with the Vikings that resulted in the Vikings leaving the 5th round completely allowed the Rams to select Chris Paul Jr., a linebacker from Ole Miss. And that concludes our look at the 4th and 5th rounds and the amount of trades that happened in there. Now, there really weren't any trades in the 6th round. There was one in the 7th, which we'll get to when we cover those, which will be right after the break.
Thanks.
One of those days, huh?
Yeah, all I want to do is take my shoes off, sit on my couch, and watch a movie.
Only Blockbuster has so many movies, so many ways to turn one of those days into a blockbuster night.
Your movie's My Rocky Road?
I'll take a rain check.
Last chance for dessert.
I'll owe you one.
So pick up a movie from Blockbuster and make it a blockbuster night.
Finally, all the brands you want in home electronics are here. All the brands you want in appliances are here too. All your favorite brands, all at the right prices. And all at the store you already trust. It's finally here. Come see for yourself. Sears announces the grand opening of Brand Central. The brands you want at the store you trust.
These symbols represent illegal drug seizures made by this Coast Guard cutter. Stopping drug smugglers is just one of the jobs they do every day. Be part of the action.
Coast Guard and Coast Guard Reserve. Call toll-free or see your Coast Guard recruiter.
Starting off the 6th round, the Buffalo Bills selected Dorian Strong, a quarterback from Virginia Tech. The Baltimore Ravens selected Bill Hay Cohn, a cornerback from Western Michigan. With the third pick in the round, the Miami Dolphins selected Oklahoma State star running back Ollie Gordon II. The Las Vegas Raiders selected J.J. Pegways, a defensive tackle from Ole Miss. The Philadelphia Eagles selected quarterback Kyle McCord from Syracuse. The New England Patriots made the first special teams draft selection by choosing Andres Borregales, a kicker from the University of Miami. The Pittsburgh Steelers then finally selected a quarterback, deciding on Will Howard, the quarterback from Ohio State. The Indianapolis Colts had back-to-back picks, selecting Riley Leonard, the quarterback from Notre Dame, and Tim Smith, the defensive tackle from Alabama. Now, we're getting to a Green Bay Packers pick here that was supposed to be originally by Tom Grossi, the prominent Packers YouTuber who won the NFL Fan of the Year award last year. Well, 2023 for 2024, but yeah. He was supposed to make that pick, but they bumped it back, I believe, because they altered their plans to draft Sorrell, the edge rusher from Texas, who had kind of fallen in the draft and was the last player in the green room who had yet to be selected and who was still there. So they decided to take him and I think bumped their original draft plans back around. But anyway, for this spot in the draft, the Packers selected defensive tackle Warren Brinson from Georgia. It was then time for the back-to-back Minnesota Vikings picks. They selected Kobe King, a linebacker from Penn State, and then Gavin Bartholomew, a tight end from Pitt. We then had not quite back-to-back selections by the Baltimore Ravens, but two of the next three picks, as they selected Noah Pebbles, a defensive tackle from Virginia Tech. I'm sorry, I think I butchered that pronunciation. I don't mean to offend. And then they selected defensive back Robert Longerbeam from Rutgers. So I guess there's your Freudian slip for the day. And as we close out the sixth round, I would of course be remiss if I didn't mention that the Raiders had two picks that they both used on quarterbacks. They selected Tommy Mellott, the quarterback from Montana State, and Cam Miller, the quarterback from North Dakota State. So yes, both the combatants in the FCS National Championship game are now on the same team. Moving on to the seventh round, the Dallas Cowboys opened things off by selecting UCLA defensive tackle Jay Toya. That was followed by the Atlanta Falcons selecting tackle Jack Nelson from Wisconsin. The New York Giants were up next, and they selected Nebraska tight end Thomas Fedon II. The New England Patriots then selected tackle Marcus Bryant from Missouri. The Jacksonville Jaguars selected Jonah Monheim, a center from Southern California. A few picks after that, the Detroit Lions selected Dan Jackson, a safety from Georgia. At the 21st spot, this is where Tom Grossi got to announce the Packers pick, which was Micah Robinson, a defensive back from Tulane. The Seattle Seahawks were up after that, and they selected Ricky White III, a wide receiver from UNLV. We then actually had a trade at one point, as the Chiefs managed to trade out what was the last pick of the draft, aka Mr. Irrelevant, with the New England Patriots. This enabled the Chiefs to select Brashad Smith, the running back from SMU. We'll get to the Patriots selection at the end, obviously. The Denver Broncos then selected Caleb Launer, a tight end from the University of Utah. The Dallas Cowboys then selected Maryland defensive tackle Tommy Akingbesot. Apologies again for mispronouncing that. The New Orleans Saints then took UCLA tight end Moliki Matavo. We then had one last pick from the Green Bay Packers, which was guard John Williams from Cincinnati, and it was now time for Mr. Irrelevant. And that choice was, of course, the New England Patriots, who selected which, of course, as mentioned earlier, came to the New England Patriots, who selected Memphis defensive back Kobe Minor. And yes, that finally wrapped up the 2025 NFL Draft. Alright, so obviously we're going to take another little break here, and then we'll come back with some final thoughts. And trust me, I will not dwell on Shedeur Sanders anymore. I'll try to talk about other things as well.
Should your name be on this envelope? It should if you or someone you love is age 50 to 80, and it will be addressed to you if you call now for this important information. Free information about a life insurance policy designed especially for men and women age 50 to 80. Life insurance with no physical examination and no medical questions. Because of a limited benefit period, you cannot be turned down for any reason. And your premium will be $6.95 a month and will never increase. Colonial Penn Life Insurance Company wants to send you the important information in this envelope, and it's free. So if you are age 50 to 80 and thought it would be difficult to buy life insurance, Shouldn't you call now? Here's the number.
For free information in the mail, call 1-800-648-6900. This is a free call, 1-800-648-6900. 1-800-648-6900.
Monday.
Better grab your trombone.
The judge is really jazzed.
Today, the museum. Tomorrow, Star Search.
Till a deadbeat hits a sour note on Hardcastle and McCormick.
Wednesday on the After School Special.
Today you will all become parents of an egg.
When a teacher gives a crazy classroom assignment, her students think she's laid an egg.
Now the egg you receive will represent a baby. Don't touch my egg.
It's grade A fun. First the egg. Wednesday.
3 women
Think of this as an adventure.
letting go,
There's nothing wrong with you trying to have a little pleasure.
living out their fantasies, pleasures.
Tomorrow.
Okay, you're going to have to bear with me here as this part is, well, not very well scripted. Well, it's not scripted at all, but yeah, I am kind of doing this off the top of my head, so you might have to hear a lot of uhs and ers in this. I'll try not to put too many of them in. Anyway, my overall thoughts on the 2025 draft, very interesting. You know, there's always 2 schools of thought in the draft. There's draft for need, and then draft for what your board says to draft, or the best player on the board, if they happen to fall into your lap, if something like that happens. And I think this was definitely more of the former. I think pretty much every team drafted for need. Overall, I don't know how much they improved, but again, a lot of the teams I thought that, you know, if you recall in my preview, I kind of said, these teams are probably going to have good drafts, and yeah, for the most part, they had good drafts. I think the only one I would say that didn't was maybe Detroit, and that's just kind of because I think they had a very average draft. Not necessarily bad, but you get the idea. I think the Bears had a very good draft overall. I think, again, drafting for the offensive line, not just going after playmakers, getting a Loveland at tight end who can block and catch passes, to couple with Cole Kmet, that's going to help them in the long run. They got Caleb Williams some weapons. You look at, say, Cleveland. I mean, I'm not going to dwell on the Sanders pick, but other than that perplexing draft 2 quarterbacks pick, they had a really good draft. I think they managed to bolster everything up. They bolstered up their run game. They've, again, solidified their defense, which was already pretty darn good. You look at the Steelers, who had a very average draft as well. Again, I think they probably should have gone quarterback in a higher round. Again, you don't really have a quarterback right now, and you're trying to put all your eggs in this Aaron Rodgers basket that I don't think, even if it does happen, is going to pay off the way you think it will. Other teams I think that really typify the draft for need in this include like the 49ers, the Packers. I think there are a lot of their picks. A lot of the teams that drafted pretty much like strictly defense very early on and then started picking up offensive players towards the latter half of the draft. The Giants, I think, made some really good moves. I do think, obviously getting Abdul Carter, another pass rusher, to help Kayvon Thibodeau is going to help solidify a very porous defense at times. A defense that has been very porous the last few years. And again, getting Jackson Dark will hopefully provide some stability at quarterback that they have so desperately needed. The Houston Texans, I think, had a really good draft overall. I think they did some really good jobs. Again, getting wide receiver, getting some more playmakers, getting some steadier hands. Hopefully guys who are maybe a tiny bit more durable, since I think they were really done in by the injury bug last year. The Bengals, I think, had a really good draft. They pretty much all went defense too. They bolstered up that problem. Don't know if this is going to have any effect with Trey Hendrickson at all, but still, again, they got pass rushers to help. And, if Hendrickson has to go, they have replacements lined up and ready to there. So I think the Bengals had an overall very good draft. The Ravens had a pretty good draft. They drafted typical Ravens players. So, again, I don't think it's necessarily a bad draft. A typical Ravens draft. So, like I said, overall, I do believe that the prevailing philosophy of draft need over, desirable talent or big names prevailed in this. Obviously, as detailed by the fall of Shedeur Sanders. And, again, that will be the only other time I mention this. Okay, so next up will be the random trade review on the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl Volume 1. After that, I'm not entirely sure. There'll probably be at least one Sleepy Cat Wrestling video. And then it'll be time for the NFL schedule announcement, which is on the 14th of May. So I guess we've got that at least planned out. I would like to get back into reviewing movies and TV shows, mainly TV shows. But right now, it's just like I can never seem to find the time. I am so exhausted during parts of the day that I just... I kind of just want to unwind and veg on my own. I don't want to have to focus and then work on that as well. So if you catch my drift there, it's like I want to watch something and not have to think of it as work, basically is what I'm trying to say there. But don't worry, I'll be fine. It's okay. It's not a serious thing. It's just I'm tired. Anyway, see you all next time. Hey guys, remember you can help support my channel at patreon.com/SleepyTimeForCat Productions. Also, remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so that you can be notified about further videos.